Who invites a single father to a wedding as a joke? It started as a cruel prank, a cruel idea born out of mockery, meant to humiliate a man who was already carrying more than his share of life's burdens. A week before the wedding, 38-year-old Asim received a formal wedding invitation. The bride and groom were former acquaintances from university. They were popular, wealthy, and surrounded by circles that often mocked people like him, poor, quiet, and forgettable. Asim was confused. He hadn't spoken to them in over a decade. Why now? But what surprised him more was the handwritten note at the bottom of the card. It would mean a lot if you came. Please bring your son too, we'd love to meet him. He showed the card to his 8-year-old son, Daniel. The boy's eyes lit up. We're going to a wedding, he squealed. Asim nodded, unsure. He had barely enough money for the bus fare to the venue on the other side of the city. But Daniel hadn't smiled like that in days. Since losing his wife to cancer 2 years ago, Asim had done everything to keep his son's world bright, even if his own felt colorless. On the day of the wedding, he wore his only decent suit, a bit tight, frayed near the cuffs. Daniel wore a second-hand shirt Asim had secretly ironed at a neighbor's home the night before. They took the bus, then walked half a mile to the venue, a lavish banquet hall with sparkling lights and a marble entrance. As they entered, heads turned. Some people smiled, politely. But a few exchanged glances, chuckling under their breath. Asim heard one whisper, "He actually came," followed by stifled laughter. Daniel tugged his hand. "Papa, they're laughing." "Why?" Asim knelt down and smiled gently, hiding the sting in his chest. "Because we look good, Beta. That's all." They walked to the gift table. Asim placed a simple card and a small wrapped box, a wooden hand-carved frame with a dua inside. Something his wife used to make. He had spent all week working overtime just to buy the small tools to finish it. But no one came to greet him. The bride looked at him once, then turned away. The groom, a man named Ramiz, caught his eye and smiled, but not warmly. Almost smugly. The meal began. Asim and Daniel sat near the back. While others were served elaborate dishes, they were given cold plates, late. Still, Asim encouraged his son to eat. "It's your first big wedding," he said, "enjoy it." Then came the speeches. Friends of the groom shared stories, and then Ramiz stood to thank everyone. He paused, then glanced toward the back. "I want to especially thank someone unexpected. Asim. My old classmate. He showed up." Laughter rippled through the hall. "We were just joking when we sent the invite, but I have to say, it takes a lot of courage to come alone with a child. Must be tough, huh?" The laughter grew louder. Daniel looked confused. "Papa, why is everyone laughing?" But this time, Asim had no answer. He could barely breathe. His ears rang. His heart sank. Just then, a new voice echoed in the hall. "Excuse me. Can I say something?" A woman walked up. She had arrived late, dressed simply but elegantly, not like the showy guests. No one knew who she was. But everyone fell silent. She walked to the mic. "My name is Zoya. I was invited by someone who isn't here anymore, Asim's late wife, Noor. She was my best friend. And I promised her I'd keep an eye on her boys." Gasps. "I know what you did," she said, turning to the groom. "You invited him to mock him. I read your group chat screenshots. Noor showed them to me before she passed." Ramiz's face turned pale. Zoya continued, her voice firm. "You mocked a man who works 2 jobs to raise a boy alone. A man who never once asked for help. A man who loved his wife until her last breath, and still lights a candle for her every Thursday night. That's the man you tried to humiliate." The room froze. She turned toward Asim and Denial. But tonight, you made them heroes. She looked back at the crowd. Who here can say they love with that kind of loyalty? Who here can say they raise a child alone and still teach him kindness? Silence. Zoya walked over, bent to Denial, and handed him a small box. This was your mother's. She wanted you to open it when you were brave. Denial opened the box. Inside was a necklace with a locket. It held a picture of his mother, and a folded note, "Be proud of your papa. He's the strongest man in the world." Tears streamed down Asim's face. Denial hugged him tightly. The groom couldn't meet anyone's eyes. Guests began to shift in discomfort. One by one, they came over, to Asim, to apologize, to shake his hand, to greet Denial. Even the bride stood up and said quietly, "I didn't know. I'm so sorry." But Asim only smiled humbly. "It's okay. I didn't come for you." He looked down at Denial. "I came because he deserved to see the world. Even if it laughs at us." As they left that night, Denial walked taller, holding his father's hand with pride. And Zoya, walking beside them, knew in that moment she had done right by her friend. And somewhere above, maybe Noor smiled too, because the world had finally seen what she always knew. That the man they mocked, was the kindest soul in the room. And sometimes, the joke's not on the one you laugh at. It's on the ones who forget what real strength looks like.